There are seasons in life when everything seems to collapse around you. People you trusted turn their backs on you, relationships you cherished slip through your fingers, and doors you prayed for remain stubbornly shut. You stand amidst the ruins of what once was, your heart heavy with questions that echo in the silence of your soul. Does God see what I've been through? Does He know the pain I carry? Will He ever restore what I've lost? And in those moments, when the weight of your suffering feels unbearable, the enemy whispers a lie, one designed to keep you in chains. God has forgotten you. He has left you to suffer alone. But that is not the voice of your Creator. That is not the voice of the one who shaped you with love, who numbered the hairs on your head, who holds your tears in His hands. God does not forget His children. He does not ignore their pain. Every loss you have endured, every betrayal that pierced your heart, every dream that seemed to crumble before your eyes, it has all been seen by the Almighty, and He is not done writing your story. Scripture reminds us in Joel 2:25, "I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten." The God we serve is a God of restoration. He is not a God who merely patches up broken pieces. He rebuilds, renews, and transforms. He takes what the enemy meant for evil and turns it for good. He allows losses not to destroy you, but to refine you, to draw you closer to Him, to strip away what was never meant to remain, so that He can place in your hands something far greater. But when you're standing in the middle of your suffering, it's hard to believe that restoration is possible. It's hard to see past the pain when all you know is loss. Maybe you've been betrayed by someone you love deeply, and now you feel like you'll never trust again. Maybe you lost an opportunity that you had prayed for, and now you wonder if you'll ever get another chance. Maybe you're grieving not just the loss of a relationship, but the loss of who you used to be before the pain changed you. And yet, even in this, God is working. He is not just watching from a distance. He is moving in ways you cannot yet see. He is shifting things in the spiritual realm, aligning circumstances, preparing blessings, and removing obstacles. What you see as a loss, God sees as preparation. What you feel as devastation, God sees as transformation. Have you ever wondered why certain people walked away from your life? Have you ever questioned why something you wanted so badly never came to pass? It's because God knows what you deserve, and He refuses to let you settle for less. He knows the conversations that happened behind your back. He knows the intentions of those who smiled in your face but secretly hoped for your downfall. He knows the unseen dangers that you never realized were ahead. So He removes, He withholds, He redirects, not because He wants to punish you, but because He loves you too much to give you something that would destroy you. Think about Joseph, thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and left to rot in a prison cell. He must have felt abandoned. He must have asked God, "Why? Why did you let this happen?" But what Joseph could not see in those moments of despair was that God was orchestrating a greater plan. What seemed like loss was actually a setup for elevation, because when the time was right, God restored everything Joseph lost, and more. He wasn't just brought out of the prison, he was placed in a position of power. He wasn't just given back what was taken, he was given a future that exceeded anything he could have imagined. And that same God is working in your life today. The enemy may have stolen from you, but he will not have the final say. The tears you cried in private, the prayers you whispered in the dead of night, the silent battles you fought when no one else was watching, God saw them all, and He is preparing to restore you in such a way that when you look back, you will understand why certain things had to be removed, why certain people had to leave, and why certain doors had to remain closed. Do not believe the lie that your best days are behind you. Do not accept the enemy's deception that you will never recover from this loss. God is still at work. He is the God who turned a crucifixion into a resurrection. He is the God who takes graves and turns them into gardens. He is the God who makes beauty rise from ashes, and He will do the same in your life. Your suffering is not wasted. Your pain is not in vain. Everything you have endured is leading you to something greater, something God ordained, something that no one can take away from you. And now I want to share with you 7 powerful signs that God is preparing to restore what you lost. If you recognize these signs in your life, it means that His hand is already at work, moving in ways beyond your understanding. Listen carefully, because your season of restoration is closer than you think. You feel an inner restlessness that won't let you settle for less. There is a stirring in your spirit, a deep and unshakable sense that where you are now is not where you are meant to remain. It's not a worldly dissatisfaction or a fleeting desire for something new. It is something deeper, something almost divine in nature. It keeps you awake at night, whispering that you were made for more. This is not your imagination, nor is it an empty longing. It is God's way of telling you that you were never meant to settle for what is beneath His plans for your life. Throughout the Bible, we see how God uses this holy restlessness to guide His people out of places they have outgrown. Abraham felt it when God called him to leave his homeland for an inheritance he could not yet see, Genesis 12:01. Moses felt it when he could no longer ignore the suffering of his people in Egypt, Exodus 2:11-12. David felt it when he was anointed king yet found himself in the wilderness, knowing deep down that his story was not meant to end in caves and exile, 1 Samuel 16:13. This restlessness is not a curse. It is a sign that you are outgrowing something that no longer serves God's purpose for your life. It is a spiritual awakening, a divine prompting that reminds you that what was once comfortable can no longer contain the person God is shaping you to be. But here's the challenge. The enemy will try to convince you that this feeling is wrong. He will whisper, "Be content with what you have. Stop hoping for more. Maybe this is all there is for you," but that is a lie. God is the one who plants the desire for more in the hearts of His children. He is the one who calls you higher, who leads you from glory to glory. 10 Corinthians 3:18. He does not place you in a situation where you are mistreated, unappreciated, or spiritually stagnant and expect you to remain there. No, He stirs your spirit to move you into alignment with His perfect will. Think about Elijah. He once found himself in a cave, exhausted and discouraged, thinking that his ministry was over. But God did not leave him there. He spoke in a still, small voice, calling him out of the darkness and into his next assignment. 1 Kings 19:9, verses 13. If you feel that same inner unease, it may be because God is calling you out of your own cave, out of a relationship that no longer reflects His love, out of a situation where you are not valued, out of a place that no longer nurtures your spirit. And let's talk about relationships. Maybe you've been in a friendship, a job, or even a romantic relationship where something just doesn't feel right anymore. The laughter feels forced, the connection feels strained. No matter how much you try to convince yourself that this is where you belong, a quiet voice inside you says otherwise. That is God's voice. He is telling you that you deserve better, not because of arrogance, but because He has already written something greater into the blueprint of your life. When God wants to elevate you, He first unsettles you. He removes the comfort from situations that are no longer meant for you. He lets the well run dry, just as He did for Elijah at the brook of Cherith, 1 Kings 17:7. It is not punishment, it is preparation. Because when the brook dries up, it is not the end. It is a sign that provision is about to come from a new and unexpected place. If you feel this restlessness, do not ignore it. It is a holy signal, a divine disturbance pushing you towards something better. Philippians 1:6 reminds us, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion." God will not let you stay in a place that no longer nurtures your growth. He will not let you remain in a season that is beneath your calling. The unease you feel is not the enemy, it is the hand of God shifting you. You are not losing your way. You are being positioned for something greater, and soon you will understand why you could never settle for less. Their words do not match their actions. There is a painful kind of deception that does not come from the mouths of enemies, but from the lips of those who claim to care for us. It is the deception of false words, words that promise love but bring only pain, words that assure faithfulness but deliver betrayal, words that sound sweet but bear the fruit of bitterness. When God begins to reveal that you deserve better, one of the clearest signs is when you start noticing the disconnect between what someone says and what they actually do. God is a God of truth. He is not a man that he should lie. Numbers 23:19. He does not speak empty words, nor does he make promises he will not fulfill. And because we are created in his image, he calls us to walk in that same truth. But there are people who smile in your presence but secretly despise you, people who vow to stand by you but disappear in your hour of need, who do not walk in that truth. They speak as though they love you, but their actions reveal something entirely different. Jesus himself warned us about such people. In Matthew 7:16, he said, "You will know them by their fruits," not by their words, not by their promises, but by their fruits, by what they do, by how they treat you, by the consistency of their character. A tree can claim to bear good fruit, but if its branches produce only thorns, you must believe what you see, not what you are told. Many times God will open your eyes to the reality of a person's heart, not through a loud dramatic revelation, but through subtle inconsistencies. You will start to notice the little lies, the broken promises, the constant excuses. You will realize that they speak of love but never show it, that they ask for your loyalty but do not return it, that they make grand declarations but fail to follow through. And when this happens, you must understand, God is showing you that you were never meant to build your life on empty words. This is a painful realization, but it is a necessary one. In James 1:22, we are reminded, "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says." If God values action over words, shouldn't we? If God judges by fruit, shouldn't we? He does not ask you to remain loyal to someone who continually deceives you. He does not ask you to excuse broken promises when they have become a pattern, not a mistake. Think about Judas. He walked with Jesus, spoke words of devotion, even called him rabbi. But when the time came for true loyalty to be shown, his actions revealed his heart. He betrayed the Son of God with a kiss, Luke 22:48. A gesture that should have been a sign of love became the ultimate act of treachery. And this is how deception often works. It does not always come with an obvious betrayal, but with small acts of dishonesty wrapped in affectionate words. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship, a friendship, or even a workplace where people continually make promises they never keep? Have you ever felt the sting of realizing that someone who claimed to love you never actually showed it? This is God's way of shaking you awake, of showing you that you deserve more than words without action. God did not create you to live in a cycle of broken promises. He did not design you to settle for relationships where you are valued only when it is convenient. He is not a God of half-truths or deception, and he does not want his children bound to those who operate in them. When he exposes the inconsistency between someone's words and actions, it is not to harm you, it is to free you. And here is the truth: people who truly love you will not need to convince you with words alone. Their love will be evident in what they do, in how they show up, in the sacrifices they make. Just as God demonstrated his love for us through action, by sending his Son to die for us, Romans 5 verse 8. True love is always proven, not merely spoken. If you are beginning to see this pattern in someone's life, if their words no longer align with their actions, do not ignore it. This is not a small flaw to overlook. It is a warning that God is trying to remove you from a situation where you are being deceived. A warning that he has something better for you, something built on truth, not illusion. You must decide, will you believe their words or will you trust what their actions are showing you? Because when God is preparing to restore what you lost, he will not allow you to build on lies. He will not let you stay in a place where promises mean nothing. He is calling you into something better, something real, something rooted in truth. And if you are willing to listen, he will guide you into relationships, friendships, and opportunities that align with his perfect plan for your life. They seem to delight in your failures. There is a pain far greater than failure itself. The pain of realizing that someone close to you is not saddened by your struggles, but secretly pleased. You may not have seen it at first, but over time God has allowed you to notice the subtle smirks, the delayed responses, the lack of genuine encouragement when you share your struggles. He has allowed you to feel the emptiness in their words when they say, "I'm sorry to hear that," but never extend a hand to lift you up. This is not coincidence, it is revelation. God sees what you cannot. He hears the conversations that happen behind closed doors, the laughter that follows your misfortune, the jealous whispers of those who pretend to support you. And because he loves you, he will not let you remain blind to those who secretly desire your downfall. Proverbs 24:17 warns us, "Do not gloat when your enemy falls. When they stumble, do not let your heart rejoice." Why would God give such a command? Because rejoicing in another's failure is not the mark of love. It is the mark of an envious, wicked heart. And yet, there are people who claim to walk beside you, who wear the mask of friendship while inwardly celebrating every setback you face. These people will not always show their true colors immediately. They may disguise their feelings well, appearing to offer sympathy when things go wrong. But pay attention. When you succeed, do they celebrate with you, or does their energy change? When you share good news, do they seem distracted, uninterested, or even irritated? When you rise, do they offer support, or do they subtly remind you of your past failures? This is not the behavior of someone who truly loves you. This is a sign that God is exposing an enemy disguised as a friend. Think about Cain and Abel, Genesis 4:3-8. Cain did not hate Abel because of anything Abel had done to him. He hated him because God's favor was upon him. Abel's success, Abel's righteousness, it was enough to awaken jealousy so strong that it led to murder. And this is what jealousy does. It starts as a silent seed growing in the shadows of someone's heart until one day it bears its full fruit, whether through betrayal, sabotage, or outright abandonment. If you have noticed this pattern in someone's life, do not ignore it. God is showing you that you deserve better. You deserve relationships where your victories are celebrated, not resented. You deserve people who rejoice in your blessings, not those who secretly hope for your downfall. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 verse 9-10 tells us, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. This is the kind of support God wants for you. He wants you to be surrounded by people who lift you up, who stand by you in hardship, who rejoice with you in success. He wants to remove from your life those who only pretend to care but secretly harbor resentment toward you. And sometimes He reveals these people through tests. He allows you to experience seasons of struggle, not to break you, but to expose who truly stands with you. He allows moments of blessing, not just for your joy, but to reveal who cannot handle your success. If someone only claps when you are weak, but withdraws when you are strong, their heart has already been revealed. Look at Joseph and his brothers, Genesis 37:4. They despised him, not because of anything he had done, but because of the favor on his life. When he was thrown into the pit, there was no sorrow in their hearts, only satisfaction. This is the danger of remaining connected to those who do not wish you well. They may not throw you into a physical pit, but they will throw you into the pit of discouragement, the pit of doubt, the pit of manipulation, anything to keep you from rising. But God is faithful. He will not allow you to stay in the presence of those who are secretly rooting for your failure. He will stir your spirit. He will open your eyes. He will send signs until you finally see what He has been showing you all along. And when that time comes, do not resist the truth. Do not excuse their behavior. Do not convince yourself that you are imagining things. God does not reveal to harm you. He reveals to free you. And when He shows you that someone is delighted by your struggles, He is telling you that it is time to move forward. Because the plans He has for you, the restoration He is preparing, those who rejoice in your downfall have no place in it. They manipulate through guilt and obligation. There is a weight that does not come from God, a burden placed upon your shoulders not by love, but by manipulation. You can feel it in the way they twist your kindness against you, in the way they make you feel selfish for saying no, in the way they bind you with invisible chains of guilt and obligation. This is not love. This is control disguised as concern. Manipulation masters loyalty, and when God begins to show you that you deserve better, He will open your eyes to those who use guilt to keep you under their influence. God's love is never manipulative. 2 Corinthians 9:7 says, "Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver." If God Himself does not want your love or service to come from compulsion, why should anyone else? Love is meant to be freely given, not demanded. Respect is meant to be earned, not forced. But manipulators do not understand this. They do not ask, they expect. They do not appreciate, they demand. And when you hesitate, when you begin to reclaim your voice, they make you feel like the problem. After everything I've done for you, if you really cared, you would. You're being selfish. These words do not come from love. They come from control. But love does not seek to control. 1 Corinthians 13:05 tells us that love does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Yet the manipulator will always remind you of what they have done for you, not because they gave from the heart, but because they expect something in return. Every act of kindness is a transaction. Every moment of generosity is a debt you must repay. They do not want a relationship. They want ownership. And God did not create you to live under such control. Romans 8:15 declares, "The Spirit you received does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship." You are not a slave to anyone's expectations. You do not owe your life to someone simply because they once did something kind for you. True love gives and expects nothing in return. Think about Jesus. He washed the feet of Judas, knowing Judas would betray him, John 13:04-5. He healed 10 lepers, even though only one came back to thank him, Luke 17:12-19. He gave without manipulation. He served without control. And yet, the people who manipulate you will do far less but expect far more. They will remind you of their sacrifices, their favors, their suffering, anything to make you feel indebted to them. But love does not keep a record of debts. True love sets you free. Manipulation keeps you bound. This is why you feel exhausted around them. It is why you feel like you are constantly failing, no matter how much you do, because no amount of effort will ever be enough for someone who does not see you as a person, but as a means to an end. And when you try to set boundaries, when you try to reclaim your time, your peace, your independence, they punish you, not with their hands, but with their silence, their disapproval, their accusations. This is not of God. It is control disguised as care. And God is revealing it to you because He never intended for you to live under such a burden. Even Jesus, in all His love and mercy, never forced anyone to follow Him. He invited, He called, He offered, but He never manipulated. He never said, "After all I've done for you, you owe me." He did not beg the rich young ruler to stay when he walked away, Matthew 19:21-22. He did not demand loyalty from Peter when Peter denied him, John 21:15-17. He simply loved, and He let people choose. So why should you accept anything less? God is opening your eyes. He is showing you that love does not imprison, it releases. That care does not suffocate, it empowers. And if someone in your life is using guilt to control you, if they are twisting your kindness into a weapon against you, it is not because you are selfish. It is because they fear losing their grip on you. And when that moment comes, when you finally see the manipulation for what it is, you will have a choice: to remain under the weight of false obligation or to walk in the freedom God has been calling you into all along. You catch them in lies, big or small. Deception is not always obvious. It does not always come in grand betrayals or shocking revelations. Sometimes it comes in the form of small inconsistencies, quiet contradictions, and words that do not align with reality. And when God begins to show you that you deserve better, one of the clearest signs is when you start catching someone in lies, big or small. John 8:44 tells us, "The devil does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies." Lies are not just harmless mistakes, they are the language of the enemy. And when someone in your life repeatedly lies to you, whether through exaggerations, half-truths, or outright deception, it is a sign that they are walking in darkness, not in truth. God is a God of truth. Numbers 23:19 declares, "God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should change his mind." If he does not lie, why should we tolerate deception from those who claim to care for us? If he values truth above all else, why should we accept dishonesty in the people we trust? At first, their lies may seem small, an innocent twisting of the facts, a convenient rewriting of history. They may justify it, saying they didn't want to hurt your feelings, that it wasn't a big deal, that you misunderstood. But over time, the pattern becomes undeniable. You begin to notice that their stories change, that their promises mean nothing, that their words cannot be relied upon. And this is not just human imperfection, it is a symptom of something deeper. Luke 16:10 tells us, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much." If someone is comfortable lying about the small things, what else are they capable of lying about? If they will twist the truth over minor details, how can they be trusted with matters of real importance? The danger of deception is not just in the lies themselves, but in the erosion of trust. Love, friendship, family. These relationships are built on trust. And once trust is broken, the foundation crumbles. You begin to question everything they say. You start to wonder if their kindness is genuine or just another illusion. You feel the weight of uncertainty every time you interact with them. And this is not the life God desires for you. Think of Ananias and Sapphira, Acts 5:11. They lied not just to men, but to God himself, and their deception led to destruction. What was their lie? It wasn't an act of violence. It wasn't an obvious betrayal. It was a simple distortion of the truth, keeping back part of what they had promised and pretending they had given it all. But even this was enough for God to bring judgment upon them, because dishonesty is not a small matter in his eyes. If God takes lying seriously, so should you. But manipulators and deceivers will always try to convince you otherwise. They will say, it's not a big deal. They will accuse you of overreacting. They will shift blame, twist the narrative, and make you question your own perception of reality. But that is part of the deception, keeping you in a cycle of confusion so that you never fully recognize the truth. Yet God does not leave his children in confusion. 1 Corinthians 14:33 says, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace." If you feel like you are constantly questioning someone's words, if you feel like you are being misled and manipulated, that is not peace. That is a sign that God is showing you the truth so that you are no longer bound by lies. Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8:32. Truth is not meant to be feared, it is meant to liberate. And when God reveals the truth about someone's deception, it is not to punish you, it is to free you. Free you from manipulation, free you from doubt, free you from the exhausting effort of trying to trust someone who has proven themselves untrustworthy. The enemy would love for you to dismiss these warnings, to believe that small lies do not matter, that deception is something you should overlook. But God is calling you into something greater. He is calling you into relationships built on honesty, into a life where you do not have to second-guess the words of those around you, into a future where you are surrounded by people who walk in truth, not deception. And when he shows you that someone is a liar, he is not asking you to fix them. He is asking you to see the truth and trust him with what comes next. They drain you emotionally and spiritually. There are people who do not physically harm you, yet their presence slowly depletes your strength. You walk away from conversations feeling weary, not uplifted. You offer kindness, yet receive only criticism in return. You try to be understanding, yet they twist your patience into an excuse to demand more. These individuals do not encourage, they consume. They do not pour into you, they take until there is nothing left. This exhaustion is not normal. It is not the result of love, nor is it the burden of a godly relationship. It is a warning sign, a signal from above that something is deeply wrong. Matthew 11:28-30 tells us, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." If God desires to give you peace, then why are you constantly left drained in their presence? There are people who carry an unseen heaviness, a spiritual weight that they project onto others. They do not seek peace, they seek control. They do not desire unity, they thrive in conflict. They do not give, they demand. And when God begins to reveal this to you, he is not asking you to ignore it. He is showing you that you deserve better. The human soul was not made to be a source of endless energy for others. Even Jesus, in his ministry, took time to step away from the crowds, to be alone with the Father, to replenish what was given. Luke 5:16 says, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. If the Son of God himself needed moments of rest, why do you feel guilty for needing the same? Why do you allow others to drain you without limit?" These people may not come with obvious malice. They may not insult you outright or physically harm you, yet their presence weighs heavily on your spirit. Every conversation is filled with complaints, yet they refuse advice. They seek your encouragement, yet never offer it in return. They are eager to receive from you your time, your wisdom, your love, but never consider how their actions affect you. And it is not selfish to recognize this imbalance, it is wisdom. The enemy delights in relationships that leave God's children empty. He knows that if you are drained, you cannot fulfill your purpose. If you are weary, you cannot hear God's voice clearly. If you are constantly burdened by another's endless demands, you will have no strength left for the things God has called you to do. This is why Proverbs 4:23 warns, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Your heart was never meant to be a well for someone who only draws, but never replenishes. Think about Samson and Delilah, Judges 16:04-21. Delilah did not harm Samson with her own hands. She did not strike him down with a sword, yet she drained him, little by little, until he had nothing left. She took advantage of his love, his trust, his patience. She pulled from him again and again, until she finally stripped him of his strength completely. And once he was weakened, once he could no longer fight back, she handed him over to his enemies. This is what happens when you remain connected to someone who only drains you. At first it may seem manageable. You tell yourself they will change. You convince yourself they do not mean harm. Yet, over time, the exhaustion grows. You begin to feel distant from God. Your joy fades. Your peace is stolen. Until one day, you realize you have been completely depleted. This is not love. This is not friendship. This is a spiritual attack, disguised as companionship. God is not the author of confusion. He does not call his children into relationships that strip them of their joy, their peace, their connection to him. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." If someone is leading you into exhaustion rather than encouragement, that is not godly companionship. It is a distraction from the enemy. When God begins to reveal that someone is draining you, he is not simply showing you a flaw in their character. He is showing you that your spirit is under attack. And when he opens your eyes, it is not to make you feel guilty for stepping away, but to remind you that you were created for more. You were meant to be surrounded by those who pour into you as much as you pour into them, those who bring life, not drain it, those who lead you closer to God, not further from him. And when you recognize the signs, when you finally acknowledge that someone is leaving you empty, you will understand that God is not just revealing the problem, he is preparing you for something greater. They dismiss your concerns and twist reality. There is a deep pain that comes not from the wound itself, but from having your suffering ignored. You express your hurt, yet they make you feel dramatic. You voice your concerns, yet they insist you are imagining things. You point out their wrongdoing, yet somehow the blame is turned back on you. This is not misunderstanding. This is not forgetfulness. This is a calculated effort to twist reality so that you doubt your own mind. And God is showing you this because he does not want you to live under deception. Isaiah 5:20 warns, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness." When someone in your life repeatedly twists the truth, when they make you question what is real and what is not, that is not normal conflict. It is a deliberate attempt to control you. And God is opening your eyes to this manipulation because he knows you deserve better. There is a tactic the enemy has used since the beginning of time, one that is subtle yet devastating. It is the act of making truth seem like a lie and making lies feel like truth. Genesis 3:01 says, "Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, 'Did God really say?'" Notice what the enemy did. He did not openly attack. He did not force Eve to sin. He simply planted doubt. He twisted the truth just enough to confuse her, to make her second-guess what she knew to be real. And this is what manipulators do. They make you question what actually happened. You bring up something they said, and suddenly they insist they never said it. You recall how they treated you, yet they claim you are exaggerating. They turn the conversation back on you, accusing you of being too sensitive, too emotional, too irrational. The more this happens, the more you begin to question yourself. Maybe you are overreacting. Maybe you did misunderstand. Maybe the problem is you. But that is the goal of this manipulation, to make you doubt yourself, so that you no longer trust your own thoughts, your own experiences, your own reality. And yet God did not create you to live in confusion. 1 Corinthians 14:33 declares, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace." If a relationship constantly leaves you doubting yourself, feeling unheard, or questioning what is real, that is not peace. That is deception. The Bible gives us countless examples of how manipulators operate. Consider Jezebel and Ahab, 1 Kings 21:01-16. Naboth, a righteous man, refused to give Ahab his vineyard because it was his family's inheritance. Rather than accept the truth, Jezebel twisted reality. She arranged false accusations against Naboth, making him appear guilty of blasphemy so that he would be executed and his land stolen. She silenced his truth with lies. She twisted reality to get what she wanted. And when someone in your life dismisses your concerns, when they refuse to acknowledge how they have hurt you, when they manipulate the truth to serve their own agenda, they are not acting in love, they are acting in deception. Ephesians 4:25 tells us, "Therefore each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor." Truth should be the foundation of any relationship. But when someone is constantly distorting reality, when they refuse to acknowledge your pain, they are not operating from a place of love, but from a desire for control. One of the most damaging things about this manipulation is that it leaves you feeling alone. You try to express your pain, but they tell you it is invalid. You try to defend yourself, but they twist your words against you. You try to make sense of what is happening, yet every conversation leaves you more confused than before. But God sees. God sees every time you are made to feel crazy for telling the truth. He sees every moment your pain was disregarded. He sees how they silenced you, twisted your words, and made you question yourself. And He is not just showing you these things so that you recognize them. He is showing you because He is preparing to restore you. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." If you have been made to feel unseen, unheard, and disregarded, know this: God has seen it all. And He is not a God who ignores injustice. He is not a God who overlooks your pain. He is a God who restores, a God who lifts up those who have been trampled upon, a God who fights for those who have been silenced. And when He reveals that someone in your life is twisting reality, dismissing your concerns, and refusing to acknowledge the truth, it is not because He wants you to stay in confusion. It is because He is calling you into clarity. He is calling you into truth. He is calling you into the life He always intended for you, one where your voice is heard, your heart is valued, and your reality is not distorted by someone else's selfish agenda. There comes a moment when God no longer allows deception to cloud your vision. A moment when He pulls back the veil and shows you the truth, not to hurt you, but to free you. If your spirit has been restless, if your heart has been heavy, if you have felt the sting of manipulation, betrayal, and emotional exhaustion, understand this: God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. He is showing you that you were never meant to live in the shadows of deception. You were never meant to carry the burden of someone else's dishonesty. You were never meant to pour endlessly into those who take without giving. You were never meant to remain in relationships that leave you drained, confused, and questioning your worth. Psalm 147:3 declares, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." God does not just expose what is wrong, He heals, He restores, He renews. When He removes people from your life, it is not an act of cruelty, but of divine protection. When He reveals the truth about someone's intentions, it is not to bring you fear, but to bring you clarity. You may have lost time. You may have lost trust. You may have lost pieces of yourself in trying to love people who were never capable of loving you in return. But God is a God of restoration. He does not just take away what is harmful, He replaces it with something greater. Joel 2:25 says, "I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten." What was stolen from you, your peace, your joy, your sense of self, will be restored in ways you cannot yet imagine. And when that restoration comes, you will see why God had to remove certain people from your life. You will understand why He exposed their deception, their manipulation, their hidden agendas. You will realize that He was not taking something away. He was making room for something better. So if you find yourself at a crossroads, if you sense that God is showing you the truth about someone in your life, do not resist His guidance. Do not cling to what He is trying to remove. Trust Him. Trust that He is leading you into something greater. Trust that He has plans for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. You do not have to settle for less than what God has intended for you. You do not have to stay in relationships that diminish your worth. You do not have to fight for love, respect, or honesty. Because when God brings the right people into your life, these things will be given freely. God knows you deserve better, and He will restore what you lost.